you do bring up a point that on all these shows I've been doing, it's been kind of an experiment jumping on everyone's shows in the Dabbleverse instead of just reviewing them or taking Carl's word for it or the clips that he pulled. I'm coming to speak to everyone individually and see what I think, so people can't say that I'm influenced. Do you know what I'm saying? And I've said to every one of these shows that I've been on, look at my IMDb, look at the people I've worked with. Maybe, just maybe, my experience has given me some just history, not even credibility, just some information, some experience with these awful topics. So what the fake Chris Abels is saying about me and the casting couch and all those things, it's like, yeah, the shit that you're speculating on, I have experienced. I've had to work for corporations and actors and directors and people that were monsters. We found out afterwards. We find out during. And when I hear fucking people telling people like me and everyone else how you're supposed to handle this and what we did wrong and what the correct way of processing this kind of stuff is, it does make me angry in a way that's unnecessary, and I should just chill, brah. But they don't do it. They don't look at until I'm on the screen with them. They won't do any research. They won't look at it. And it'd be like, if I had to deal with Kevin Spacey for decades, maybe I can just weigh in on this topic and you can listen for a second.
The actor?
Yes.
See, I was a extra on House of Cards because they filmed part of it, like literally like 10
Were you
minutes
really?
from my house. I played a congressman in one episode, and people
a gay
were
congressman?
and people were. But after all this stuff about Kevin Spacey came out, people said, "Tom, did you notice Kevin Spacey doing anything weird on set? Did you notice any of that?" And I said, "I'll be honest, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention because I was too busy getting a hand job from the guy who played Doug Stamper."
Doug Stamper? Is he Scottish? What's up with that, by the way? Because Justice for Kevin Spacey by Little Emmy, who notorious. I've noticed that, Tom. When you tell a joke, your voice goes up at the end. Like
right.
Sometimes it feels like you're being racist towards me. Where you
No,
go,
I'll tell you what.
Stamper?
People have mentioned that I do have sort of like an Irish inflection, and I haven't actually told this. I don't think I've mentioned this on any live stream, so I'll go ahead and give you the exclusive. My great-great-grandparents emigrated here from Ireland, and reportedly they had like a very thick Irish accent. And so my this is on my father's side of the family. My father was raised by my grandfather because like his mom died during childbirth. So probably like my great-great-grandparents gave it to my great-grandfather, that inflection, who probably gave it to my dad. And so I probably got it from him. If it's there, that's the likely source. What's the deal with inflections?
What's the deal with childbirth?
Who decided to talk like this?
On the final topic, of course, it was kind of mentioned earlier on, is of course the great WATP. Because one of the things, Tom, because I've noticed you mentioned, I think it was on your IG page where you said you were trying to get your watch time up and your watch hours up and stuff. I genuinely think, and this is speaking from experience, that if you went on WATP with Lady K, which is the hilarious nickname Carl has, I genuinely think that would, within, say, 48 hours, bring those people over to your show, and you would instantly get the watch time that you would need. Because so if Carl goes live, he usually gets a minimum of 1,000 people. If you just stream for an hour, with 60, what does that work? That works out as 60,000 minutes viewed or whatever the fuck.
Are you following this, Tom? I have no idea what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah. I kind of get what he's asking. First off, like podcast. Podcast Karen, as I refer to him, and I have him on record saying.
What is that a reference to, Podcast Karen? What is that? You were saying that for a long time. I didn't realize you meant Carl. Hilarious, but what does it mean?
It means it's fucking hilarious.
Duh. Because
He's basically a Karen who just does
fuck.
nothing but really complain about every single show. And I get that it's a roast show, but I don't mean to talk. I apologize if it sounds like I'm speaking ill of your boy here.
Go ahead, please do.
Please. He's like just very whiny and bitchy, and like the idea of WATP was probably it's a good concept
until it came to you.
Off a good concept,
and then it loses. I know.
Well, and then and then old podcast Karen started kissing up to Anthony Cumia, and it basically turned into like a ripoff of Opie and Anthony, which itself is a low grade version.
Well, it was a ripoff of Anthony by design. Like it was even before Cumia was involved. That was the Jocktober concept, which you approve of, and as we stated, you enjoy it, except when it comes to you, and then it's just not funny anymore.
But here's
the eyes, Cumia.
If I do go ahead and clap back, which is my job because I'm a comedian, that's what I'm supposed to do. Then it becomes like, oh, how could he do that? So what you're accusing me of, they actually do. But anyway, podcast Karen has said he does not want me on his show. I'm not invited on his show. So
if you want to, do you want to be on the show?
Fuck
because
no.
All right. So then it's not Carl keeping you from it. Carl disinvited me from this thing I don't want to go to.
So first off, that would never. I'm just saying, that would never.
Why would a comedian not want to go against his nemesis? Why would you? I mean, you talk about wanting eyes and streams and views. Like this is it, Tom. You don't get to pick your audience. Bob Marley died hating his audience because he wanted his audience to look like him. But white people loved him. He started playing places they couldn't find him. You don't get to pick your audience.
That's probably
this is your audience. This is it. It's these people. We know who you are. We support you. We would spend money on it, but it takes getting past the ego and just leaning into it.
Tom, can I suggest something?
Go ahead.
So Hughezy, for fuck's sake, sorry, I want to say more than 5 words in this show, if that's all right. Hughezy suggested something earlier. No, I love it.
Tom and I are the most verbose guys in the whole Dabbleverse. It's a bad combo.
So Hughezy made a bad suggestion earlier. He said, why don't you just go on his show and then all of the fans later will go and watch your show? Incorrect. Yeah. Why don't you do something which the ingenious Stuttering John did, which was have one episode on his channel, one episode on Carl's channel, and why don't you have him on yours first? So people don't go, no, it's fine. We saw him on the first episode. We don't need to see the second one. There you go.
Yeah, look how well it worked out for Stuttering John. Stuttering who?
The actor?
Yeah, exactly.
One of the only episodes that I remotely liked him was when Carl left and the sun was setting on him and it's getting darker and darker.
Any episode.
I know you only.
And any episode that podcast Karen leaves and fucks off, it automatically makes it like 1,000 times better. So I agree with you on that one, Nickel.
Yeah, I'm gonna say though, the podcast Karen sold me a ticket because the clips he played of Stuttering John's stand-up was so unfunny that if I ever got the chance to see him, I'm going to see that stand-up live because it's like Jason Statham when he has a new film out. It's called The Sandwich Maker, and it's like, what are you doing with my fucking sandwich? And then he karate kicks a guy in the trailer, and you go, yeah, I'm going to see that. That looks like a big pile of shit. It's going to be brilliant. I genuinely think, Tom, that you taking Eccles' idea, which I will now claim as my own via editing once the podcast version comes out of this, that I think that you should have Carl on your show in a early evening time slot, and you will literally visibly see your subscription count go up, and you will be able to monetize, you'll be able to profit. And all joking aside, Tom, it's always funny, and I think Adam would agree, it's always funny to do the whole, oh, Tom Myers isn't funny stuff, all that shit. You actually are funny. It's a running joke that people have piled on too much, like the steel toe stuff. I think that you having Carl on would shut that down. Maybe you could roast Carl. He wouldn't be able to handle it, which could then go viral. And we're talking Tom Myers mania. You could tell your racist jokes all around the world.
I would love to tell jokes about how white people suck. Yes, YouTube's terms of service. But
See,
no,
you're right. He's funny, but it's not in the way that he knows. He doesn't know when he's being funny, and that can make you feel a bit
Adam,
exposed or vulnerable.
actually, Adam, I have to correct. I have to seriously clap back on this.
Please.
I mean, yes, I do.
Okay.
I do know when I'm being funny because, like, contrary to popular belief and what you hear in the chat and on Reddit, I've been doing this for a long time. Have I been doing a lot of stand up recently? No, because I've had some personal stuff on the home front. I've been taking care of the last year or so. I won't
Don't
get
laugh,
into that.
Echo.
That's kind of winding down. So I'm looking to get back out and get started again. But I'm following a formula that has worked before, where I had previous detractors on another podcast, and instead of buckling to them, instead of kneeling to them, I went ahead and went after them. I sort of like leaned into some of their fan base, and as a result, some of the fan base who used to shit on me ended up becoming legit fans.
Great. So everything they said,
they've ended up like streaming my content.
So why wouldn't you do that with Carl? That's great.
They've ended up coming to see me. I mean, I'm doing that now. I'm doing that now, and I didn't have to go on this other podcast show. I didn't have to go on. I didn't have to go on this show.
But what's the negative about going on? What's the downside?
I didn't have to embrace. Well, the downside is what I did worked before, so it's going to work again.
Not knowing exactly why or how you're funny is not a diss, and it's not a weakness. It's a thing a lot of great comedians have. I know I'm not a particularly funny person, but sometimes if I have a script that's funny, if they're laughing and I don't know why, it's fine. It means the line worked, the reading worked. I don't have to necessarily be in on it. For me, for you, I love the posture. I love the kind of tension. I love the delivery. We're talking about the getting high at the end. Like, it's classic to slow down the punchline and go low, but you go fast and go high. And I laugh at all of that. I laugh at your reactions. I laugh at there's a part of you that's not present while you're telling the joke. You're watching the audience. You're there. It's kind of happening. There's an interesting body language, and I don't think there's anything wrong with any of that.
Well, whenever I'm awake, my brain does like 12 different things. So, like, I'm always processing stuff. So,
what about who are these broadcasters? Would you go on there with Blatt?
Hit me up on Instagram, and I'll direct you to my contact person. I'll direct you to my agent.
Tom, were you
who does exist by the way?
Were you a fan of the TV show Mad Men?
Who are we asking?
Sorry, Tom.
Never seen it. Sorry.
Oh, well, Christian's wife wrote it.
Oh, okay.
And also, she's a hot fucking chick with big tits, and I don't mean that in the vulgar way. He'll take that out of context.
Will the doxing ever stop, Hughezy?
No. Also, did you know that...
What's wrong with big tits?